Go there.
I genuinely think I could go for 60 seconds. We should try that sometime.
Welcome back to another episode of the Guuuzan Show. I'm your host, Brad Guuuzan. Sat next to me as always, Mr. Joe Freihofer. And Joe, it's just you and I in here, man. It's just the two of us. We are on the verge of an unbelievable summer. The World Cup is one day away. It is kicking off. It is here. It's real. How excited are you, man?
I'm emotional, bro. We are literally 24 hours away. Oof. There's going to be 12 groups. 104 total matches for this. I think back to 2014 when I was just a pup getting into the game, bro. I am overflowing with passion today, and we're putting it all into the microphone. USMNT, why not us, baby? Peep the kit, by the way.
Hey, let's
Peep
go.
the threads on Big Man.
Let's go.
He can still go. Give him the gloves. He's ready right now. I can't wait, bro.
I'm excited, man. I love the passion. I am so pumped. I know we each have some exciting things that we're going to be doing for the World Cup. I know that we're going to be on the road. We're going to be bringing you the Guuuzan Show from all over. It's going to be an exciting few weeks. But man, when I think about the World Cup, when I think about watching World Cup games, right? The first couple days, you're so into it. You're all in on watching every game for 90 plus minutes, and then life happens. You know, I feel like because this tournament is so massive, I'm nervous that
Same.
You know, after like the first week, people are gonna be like, I can't even keep up with so many games. There's so many games all over North America, all over the continent. Yeah. What do we do here?
It's real, bro, and I feel like it's kind of. The American fan is almost drinking out of a fire hose right now. There's so much football to be watched. We just got done with Champions League.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Champions League.
A couple of weeks ago.
Premier League's
wrapping up.
You know, MLS has taken its break.
Right.
You know, and so it's, you know, but now it's all of a sudden, it's going to be all World Cup, all day long, 24/7. I'm certainly here for it. I know you are. Yeah. It's going to be an amazing time.
It reminds me when I was little, too. One of the best parts about being young and just getting into the game, especially the World Cup, is that there's a commentator named Tyler Terrence, who I love. He works for Fox now. Big shout out to Tyler. Hopefully you can tune into this episode. If not, I'll send you this clip. And he has a phrase that he says at the beginning of every match. He says, time to tune out the world and tune into the beautiful game. And that for me as a kid, turning on the TV, no matter how crazy of a day you had at school, whatever was going on in your life, when you sat down on the couch and you were with your grandparents, you were a young you in Chicago wanting to be the next Oliver Kahn, right? And when you sit down in that TV, you're on that pitch with those players. You're right there. You hear the horns in the stands, all these people with their flags chanting everywhere. It is the most beautiful thing humanity has ever created because it defines everything that we go through in life, in football, and changes lives. And right here to have it in Atlanta, to have a semifinal, which you're going to be at, in the mixer, dog, with the people in the stands right there. How pumped are you?
I mean, it's amazing. Hearing you talking, a little bit Roger Bennett in you, you know.
I'm trying.
You know, hearing you describe it in that way, I think you can't help but feel excitement. You can't help but feel this energy about the tournament and about the game as a whole. You know, you touched on the '94 World Cup and being 10 years old, and I'm watching this, you know, tournament unfold in Chicago, my mom and dad's house. And it's, yes, you remember the games, you know, vaguely, but it's more so what that left on you as a person, as an individual, and the feeling that you had. And I remember the atmosphere. I remember the crowds, the noise, and you're seeing these flags. You're hearing the excitement from the stadium, the atmosphere, and you're like, that is something I want to be a part of. Because in American sport, we don't have it, right? The beautiful game, international soccer match compared to, say, NFL game, Major League Baseball, NBA game. You're not having that same atmosphere experience. Yeah. And so I remember having that in '94, and then all the years afterwards. And, you know, I remember waking up in the wee hours of the morning in 2002 to watch the World Cup in South Korea. And I mean, that for me was an unbelievable experience, because you're like, okay, you're going to set the alarm. You're going to wake up at the crazy hour of 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. to get up and watch the U.S. and watch those games. I mean, those are moments that at the time probably didn't feel very special, but looking back, you're like, that was pretty cool.
There's a saying, too, that when you're getting to know somebody, you don't always remember exactly what they say to you, but you always remember how somebody makes you feel.
Yeah.
I feel like football's the same way. You don't always remember how a result went, or you just see a moment. You could see it could be an old highlight, it could be a kit, it could be a boot, it could be a signature step over of a player, and you remember in that exact moment of life how you were feeling. Can you take me back to Chicago when you're a kid, when you're sitting on the couch? Did you have football fever that early on? Like, were you watching and being like, I want to be that goalkeeper. I'm going to be there in 2010. Was it already that clear in your head, or what was it like as a kid?
No, it was. I remember watching it, and the atmosphere that was created. Right, it was this unbelievable atmosphere, and there was a big party, and of course, soccer was then happening on the field. But you have to go back to a time when you couldn't just turn on a TV, and you didn't have immediate access to soccer games on TV here in the States. It was so difficult,
right?
And that was part of the reason why. I fell in love with a goalkeeper like Oliver Kahn, right? Because of his success at Bayern Munich and their team success, they were always competing for Champions League finals and in and around the final stages of the tournament. And because of that, their games would be on TV, and I would have to rush home from school. I would catch the last 5-10 minutes because of the time difference. And so I would see them on TV, but it wasn't a case of, I'm going to watch this game and watch it for a full 90 minutes. And, if it just happened to be, if I was off of school that day and I was able to tune in at, 2:00 in the afternoon, and now I'm home, it's like, I'm not going out for a bike ride with my friends. I'm not playing in the backyard. I'm watching this Champions League game. And so that's how it was in terms of access and watching on TV. But then the World Cup comes around, and it changes everything. And so for me to see the city of Chicago just bursting with pride, with the influx of passion and the country's color, the various countries' colors,
yes, man,
that kind of just overtook the city. Yeah. That for me is what I remember most, and something that I was like, this is different, this is amazing, and something I want to be a part of.
Now you go from being that kid to your kids are going to live that here,
exactly,
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta being the host city all the way up until a semifinal, which is just insane. What do you think? Not only your kids, but kids everywhere in Atlanta are going to feel like the butterflies that you have when you're getting off of the bus and you're like, Spain's playing today.
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm going to be around the stadium. I'm going to go to Casa España that's going to be right there with authentic Spanish food, flags everywhere, people chanting. And you don't even know what they're saying, but you just get sucked into that passion and that contagious belief in beauty that it brings. What do you think that's going to do to our city?
It's going to inspire. It's going to inspire an entire generation, a new generation, right? You're going to have the average soccer fan that now is going to experience this World Cup in person, in the stadium, outside the stadium, at Fan Fest, at watch parties, and they are going to take their love of the game to the next level. But you're going to inspire an entirely new generation of kids that say, why can't that be me? Why can't I play for the United States? Why can't I play for Spain or whomever, right? And they're going to be able to now have this opportunity to be a part of this giant party. It's going to be a massive party 24/7, before the game, after the game, days when when there's no game. There's going to be festivals and watch parties and all the things that bring people together. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest exciting factors of a competition such as the World Cup. And so to have it in our backyard, they're going to inspire a generation of kids that are going to say, I want to be a part of that. And I know my kids are excited, being able to hopefully get to a few games and just as a family, as a dad, as a former professional soccer player, you want to be able to pass along that excitement for the game, that passion for the game, and there's no better place to do it than in a World Cup in your backyard.
What do you remember about the very first call-up that you got from Bruce Arena back in 2006, right?
Yep.
What was that like?
Yeah, I just finished my first year as a professional, 2005, Chivas USA, rest in peace.
Pour one out.
Yeah, and I just finished my first year. Our season was terrible. I think
How bad?
Like top 10 worst teams in the history of the league.
What?
Yeah, we were terrible, absolutely terrible. And so, at the end of the season, I was thinking, man, this was a brutal go. And, it was right before Christmas, and I get an email and saying, congratulations, you've been invited to the national team camp. And I'm thinking, wait, what? How does this work? I'm like,
they got the wrong guy.
Yeah, I'm like, they got the wrong Bregs in. We just had an absolutely horrendous season. But then I was invited to the national team, to the January camp in January, and had a vacation booked with Bree and her family at the time, and had to tell her I was out, and she wasn't extremely pleased, and this journey was new for her as well in terms of like professional soccer, of course.
Yeah.
And so got over that, but went to camp out in California, and back then, MLS didn't start preseason till I think the end of February or middle of February. But the January camps were 7 weeks, and from that moment, I was thinking this is the best of the best, and I'm training with all these MLS guys. European players weren't called in at the time, but training with all these guys that had been in the league, established players, and I was just over the moon of being involved with that training camp. And then we went down to Dallas to play Guatemala, and he gave me the nod and goal, and he said, right, you're going to make your debut. And fortunately we go on to win the game 4-0. Didn't have a whole lot to do.
Clean sheet, baby.
But I remember listening to the national anthem in that moment, and my heart was beating out of my chest. When you think about what it means to represent your country. You think about military members that go and serve and protect and allow us to have our freedom here in the United States. You think about all the millions of kids that play soccer, and thousands of kids that are playing at the highest level that are so good, that could represent the United States. But in that moment, my name and number was called. And so when I started thinking about it, like, holy cow, you're representing your country on the international stage. It was a friendly. It was only the domestic players that were called into camp. But I remember that moment, and that's something that I will forever cherish. Like I said, it helped that we won 4-0, so that was a positive. Yeah. But yeah, man, it was that moment. That's a moment that will stick with me forever.
Take me inside of a camp for some of these nations, because the biggest FIFA tournament ever, right? So many different matches, 104 in total. You got to imagine some of these guys are going to be stir crazy.
Yeah.
Never been to America before, too, so like, got to explore. We got a little bit of money. Let's see if we can go out here, too, do a little something. What is it like for a player being, I don't want to say trapped, but there got to be days, dog, when you're like, I got to get out of here. I got to do something, right? Even if it's just a little walk around the hotel, or what's it like? How much freedom do you have?
Yeah, I think I saw an interview with Carlo Ancelotti, and he was talking about the differences between the top teams in a World Cup, right? The top countries. And it's because the competition has expanded this year, and there's so many teams, there's so many games. Now you're going to have so much time together, and it's going to come down to who can deal with each other the best, right? Because in any setting, if you're seeing the same people over and over again, if you don't have this brotherhood, if you don't have this camaraderie, that could become a real problem in terms of on-field performance because of all the nuances that are going on off the field. And you want to make sure you're able to manage those. And so as you go into a competition like this, you're thinking it's all business. It's all about making sure you're focused and ready to perform and compete at the highest level. But at the same time, you've also got to let your hair down a little bit and be able to unwind. And so you go into these camps, and we get a sneak peek and a glimpse into some of these training camp environments and what they look like, what the setup is. And so I remember in 2010 in South Africa, we had a game room. We had the ability for guys, almost like a little lounge that the Federation had created for us to play video games, to play board games. I think they had ping pong in there, skee ball.
Pool, bro.
Yeah, I mean, proper
setup.
Yeah, I mean, but they had all the things. We touched on this before, but Clint Dempsey loved to fish, and they got him a fishing pole and some tackle, and he was out fishing. But behind our hotel, there was like a little pond, little lake, and he was out there in it was a canoe or like some sort of little boat, and he was out fishing. But you want to be able to give guys this ability to relax and be at ease. And you're going to be in this training base for potentially another 7-8 weeks. And you don't just want to go from the meal room to your room, back to the meal room, to the training room, to your room, to bed. It becomes a bit much. And so you want to be able to have these different areas of the hotel to access and just do other things. When I think about 2014 in Brazil, we were able to, we were in the city, right? So you had all the noise of Sao Paulo,
Right.
and we were right in the heart of it. And that part was cool because in South Africa, we were not. We were on the outskirts. We were outside of town. And so it was just us. And again, in 14, we were right in the middle of it. And so you could walk out the front doors and you were in downtown Sao Paulo, and you're walking past different, shops on the streets, and you always knew when Brazil was playing because everything was closed. And if it wasn't closed, everyone was huddled around a TV. As you're walking past bodegas and different shops and restaurants, they all had the games on. And that was really cool because being an American, we're trying to become this soccer country. We're trying to become a footballing country. Yeah. But you go to a place like Brazil where, it is life and death down there. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you're watching the Brazilian fans watch their national team play. And you're like, that passion's pretty sweet.
How secretive do you have to be about? I mean, I've heard stories and videos of, away fans traveling to hotels, setting off fireworks, setting off fire alarms. Yeah. Do you have to be like undercover about where you're staying and stuff like that? How does that work?
Yeah, when we went through the qualifying process down in Central America, right, whether it's Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, Mexico, you go down to these countries and they want every advantage possible, right? So you check into a hotel and it's never been able to keep it a secret of where we're staying. So everyone knows the U.S. is staying in this hotel or that hotel.
Yeah, the bellhop, as soon as they see you, they're like, hey, Guuuzan's here.
Correct. Well, it's like all the
room 234.
The USA's here. And so then it started to become where guys were getting calls in the middle of the night to their room, and it's the fans, and so they're calling your hotel room. So then all of a sudden it's, hey, your name is now going to be this, right? So you're changing. The reservation is your room is not actually under your name because you're going to have people calling your room and, so you've got to now.
What was your alias? Do you remember?
I don't even remember what my alias was. That's a really good question. I'll have to reach out to our old admin and say like, hey, what were our names again? But I mean, it was like you had to go through those types of things because if not, right, then the phone's going to be constantly ringing or you're having to unplug the phone and take the phone off the hook and. Yeah. We've had to do that plenty. But then the fans are like, okay, we can still get to you. We're just going to light off a bunch of fireworks in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And there, right outside the hotel, you've got all these fireworks going off and you're like, what is that noise? What's going on? Or somebody comes in and pulls the fire alarm. And so now the fire alarm goes off and now you got to evacuate. And the first question would always be, is this real?
Is it real?
Is this real? Yeah. What are we doing? Oh, no. And then you'd get a text on the group chat saying, "Oh, it's not real. Go back to bed. Everything's fine." But there's certainly an ounce of doubt of, is the building on fire? Are we good here? But yeah, man, it's the competitive advantage that fans try to create for their country and for their team.
The length people go.
Yes, it's real. It's
insane, man. So you almost missed the 2014 World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Playing abroad in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Last match week of the season.
Yeah.
Am I right on that? You were playing Tottenham Hotspur.
Yep. Away. White Hart Lane.
White Hart Lane.
Yep.
RIP as well. Yep. No longer. In that moment, you take what? I mean, a flying knee to the forehead right here, right? Coming off your line. What happened?
So we secured safety the week before, or maybe 2 weeks before, and so we make the trip down to London, playing Spurs away. Young Harry Kane, Adebayor. I mean, good team. And I remember it was a long diagonal ball. I kind of came out towards the top of the box. I secure the ball, but I give like a half slide. But as I'm sliding or coming down to the ground, I catch a knee literally right in my eye socket. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And instantly I could feel the pain was immense. And, you know, I was just like, that's not right. You know, and I'm like, yeah, huge headache. There's no blood. I'm like, okay, I'm good. Finish the game. Afterwards, you know, you could start to see like the indent above my, you know, in my eyebrow.
Dog.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this not good. So talking to the physio, he's like, okay. He's like, listen, we need to get an X-ray of essentially your skull and in your face and see what's going on. And so next day went and got an X-ray, I think the next day went and got an X-ray. Saw the specialist. They're like, yeah, confirmation. You know, you've broken it. And basically
broken what exactly?
My orbital. But if I'd broken it down here, they were saying, listen, your World Cup's, you're not going to the World Cup. You need surgery. You're going to have surgery. You're going to put a metal plate in, and you're not going to go.
Pull the mic a little closer.
And so, fortunately, as odd as that sounds, I ended up breaking the top of my orbital here above my eye, right?
Okay,
and behind it is a little sinus cavity. But broke it, so then had to go see another specialist. They had to fit me with a Batman mask, you know, and
Bat bread.
Yes, and so I had to wear a mask, and they sent me on my way, and they said, okay, you're good to, you know, you're coordinating with the U.S. medical team, you're coordinating with, you know, at the time Aston Villa's doctors and trainers and whatnot, and get on the plane, go to California, meet up with the team for training camp. And they're like, yeah, you're good. You know, wear the mask for training. Just try not to get hit in the face, you know, for the first week. And I'm like, yeah, great, no problem. You know, I'm a goalkeeper, but that becomes a bit of an issue, right? And the pain, you know, after a few days had subdued, and I wouldn't say it had gone away, but was bearable again. And first training session, we're playing small-sided. Bam, absolute, take a rocket straight to my face. Smashes off my forehead, and I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, I remember lying on the floor, and I'm like, really? Like, the one thing the doctor said was don't get hit in the face.
Yes, bro.
And there, first training session, absolute rocket, straight to my forehead. Luckily, the mask held up, my bone held up, and, you know, I was able to carry on. But I remember thinking that week, from the end of the Premier League season to the beginning of the camp to that first training session, I was thinking, ooh, the timing's going to be close. I'm going to be cutting it close if I'm going to be able to partake in the group and with the group and be ready to go. And, yeah, in that moment, man, after that, I was like, take the mask off. I'm good. You know, there's no going back.
For?
Exactly. I was like, listen, if I survive that, I'll be okay. I'm going to make it.
To tell everybody at home, by the way, how tough this dude is, the polar bear, I want everybody, if you're listening, take your eye, right, and you put it just below your eyebrow. That bone is what you broke in a match. And you didn't think for a second, like, hey, maybe I should step off the pitch here for a second, see if I'm okay. You're like, let's crank out these 90 minutes. I'm ready, baby.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we still lost the game, so maybe I made the wrong choice. I think the score was either 2 or 3-0 at that point. But yeah, it's one of those moments, man, where, you know, as a competitor, you want to be out there, you want to help your team. You know, you've got so much adrenaline running through your body, and it's just a case of, yeah, like, let's go. If I'm not bleeding, you know. Back then, there wasn't as much concussion protocol as there is today, but yeah, in that moment, I was like, let's keep going, man.
Let's talk some of the biggest storylines now heading into the 2026 World Cup. I want to start, Brad, with Memo Ochoa. This will be his 6th World Cup for Mexico. To put this into perspective, he's just the 3rd ever player to be named to 6 World Cups. Of course, he hasn't played in it yet, but Messi and Ronaldo are also in that company. His first call-up to a World Cup was in 2006 in Germany. For some perspective, during the opening day of the 2006 World Cup, the movie Cars had just been released. Hips Don't Lie by Shakira was top of the charts. Gas, guys, $2.90 a gallon.
Oh,
dog, what I do for $2.90 right now?
No kidding.
Bro, insane. What is it like as a keeper, would you say, to have this type of longevity and also just the leadership presence that he's had for Mexico? What does he mean to that nation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, first and foremost, the longevity, you've got to have ability, right? To be in the game, to perform and compete at the highest level, you've got to you've got to have ability. You've got to be good, plain and simple. And he certainly has had that over the years. And then you talk about the other attributes, the leadership, the ability to bring the group together, the ability to fit into a group, right? Because it's not just about him. It's about him going into a group of other players. And at his age, whether really young or now on the older side of the group, you still have to be able to get along and have that team camaraderie aspect. And so for him, it speaks volumes about who he is, speaks volumes about his ability to compete at the highest level and his ability to help his team as a goalkeeper, both on and off the field, that he adds value in areas where the manager says, yeah, Memo Ochoa is going to be important for us.
Over the years, how good has that rivalry been, and especially for you, and how much you get up for a match for a Mexico-USA?
Yeah, I mean, it's massive. It's massive. It's, the players before us, before me that came before and set the bar, and the Dos a Zeros and all the iconic games and all the iconic moments. To then be part of the team that went down to Azteca, and first time we were able to get a point and get a draw, and those moments are moments that you appreciate because of the competitiveness, because of what that game means. Yeah. And so, I mean, an entire city, dude, was basically based off of that game. Columbus, Ohio, for the longest time was, U.S. Mexico, we're going to Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. And so, I mean, it speaks volumes about the two countries. It speaks volumes about the players before me, the players afterwards, to be able to carry on that rivalry.
First match of the World Cup is going to be in Mexico. Can you give people some perspective about how daunting that crowd is? A Mexican home crowd for a World Cup in their own home nation. How on top of you can they be?
Yeah, I mean, the venues that are going to be used down in Mexico. You've got Azteca in Mexico City, you've got Monterrey, and you've got Guadalajara. Obviously Monterrey and Guadalajara, two newer stadiums. You've got Azteca, that is this iconic stadium in world sport. And you go back to previous World Cups and the games and the individuals that had competed in that stadium. And so to be in that stadium with all the different things, the altitude, air quality, the atmosphere that's created.
The whistles, bro.
Yes, the last thing you want is 100,000 whistling their head off at you. And I describe it as almost like this beehive feeling. You've got this buzz, this constant buzz and noise that turns into almost like a white noise, if you will. But you look around and you're like, ooh, this is a country that's behind their team.
Let's talk about, everybody's been saying, The Last Dance. Messi, of course, is going to turn 39 during this World Cup. Ronaldo is 41. Neymar, crazy enough, he just turned 34, but it feels like he's way beyond that due to a lot of injuries, his form and stuff too. What is it going to be like as those players, I mean, going into this competition, you got to imagine they're thinking, this is my last dance. They know their age. Of course, they're ultimate competitors. They would never admit it, just like you, down to your last match. Even right now, I'm sure you could still go. Yeah. But what does that do to a player's mental going into this, and what that could mean for their legacies too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be huge for their legacies, of course. Yeah. One way or the other, just because they're so iconic in the world's game. But when you talk about them going into it, I almost have this doubt that they're actually thinking this is their last one, because their mentality is always about, yeah, I can keep going, right? And part of me almost says maybe they would find a way to do another 4 years. But the reality
45-year-old
Can you imagine,
bro?
Can you imagine?
If there was anybody, though, it'd be him.
Why not?
Right?
And so, when you look at the way the groups are, the potential for, finishing top, finishing second, all the things, I'm pretty sure I saw a bracket where there's a potential for them to face each other. And I mean, can you imagine how iconic that game would be? Imagine Argentina, Portugal, Messi versus Ronaldo. I mean, it would be massive for world football. And so, those two players, I think, have done so much for the game in terms of popularity, in terms of, the success that they've each have had in their own respective ways. And to have that game on U.S. soil, I can't think of anything bigger.
Messi, 34th minute, skips past 5 defenders, chips it over the goalkeeper. Ronaldo, 91st minute, free kick, does his signature knuckle, and it's tied. What is going to happen to social media broadcasting if this happens? Is the world going to explode? Though?
Yeah.
What would happen, bro?
Everything's just going to, light up in fire, in flames, start smoking. Phones are going to become obsolete. It'd be wild.
Insane, man. Let's talk about Spain, who's going to be coming twice, playing at Atlanta Stadium, of course. Lamine Yamal is recovering from a hamstring injury that's got him set back, it looks like, to possibly miss their opener, although nothing is certain yet. How cool is it that the world number one is coming twice to Atlanta during the group stage?
Yeah, it's massive. When I talk about Atlanta United fans and the atmosphere that's created at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they're true soccer fans, they're true footballing fans, and they understand the game, and they've created this atmosphere at the stadium for us as Atlanta United players that is world class. And now you're bringing a footballing country like Spain to this stadium, mixing with the Atlanta United fan base, mixing with the international flair of a World Cup. It's two perfect worlds colliding in such a good way. And I think for them to then be able to represent Spanish football, to represent Spain with their fan base, with their colors, with their hospitality, meeting with Southern hospitality of the Atlanta United fans, I think it's going to be absolutely tremendous, and it's going to be a sight to see.
Before we hit on the USMNT real quick, Paraguay. Our very own Miguel Almirón, Matias Galarza as well. They both got named to the final squad. First World Cup for Paraguay since 2010, who, by the way, head coach at that time was Tata Martino. They fell to Spain, who ended up winning that entire World Cup, of course. So it's been 11 years for Miggy. As a player, is it safe to say it's like a weight removed off of your shoulders, like a backpack gets taken off, to know that you have a chance to go to the biggest stage you've been working for 11 years of your life? Could we see perhaps an unlocked Miggy in this competition and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain sense and a feel, right, as you go through a qualifying process, as you go, for the U.S., we didn't have to qualify, so you go through this process of playing these international games, and nobody knows what could happen, right? There's potential for injury, for illness, just not selected by the manager. And so when your name is announced for that final roster to be a part of a World Cup team, there's no better feeling. There's a huge amount of relief that is felt on an individual basis, on a collective basis with your teammates, that, okay, we've made the team, we're now going, and you go into it with this sense of pride and, almost this confidence of, yes, I deserve to be here. I belong here. I want to be here. Now it's about going in and performing. And whether you're playing, whether you're not playing, you're on that group. You're on that team, and your name and number is forever associated with that World Cup, with that group of players, with that coaching staff. And so, I hope that Miguel is certainly able to be unlocked and show how special he is of a player. Just not in game one against the U.S.
Exactly. Which brings us, perfect segue, USMNT. We have Tim Ream, guest of the show, by the way, as the captain. We have Mauricio Pochettino, all of his European prowess, coming to the helm now to lead us, to take us above, get a bump, right?
Yep.
Move on further than we've ever felt like we could on home soil with an impact that's going to last generations. These nights leading up to this competition, I'm seeing flickers of Clint Dempsey's goal against Ghana in 30 seconds. So I can still see that first touch he took where he had the step over, brought it onto his right. It changes lives watching this. What do you think is going to be that final team talk from Mauricio Pochettino before that first match against Paraguay?
I don't know. I don't know what he's going to say, but what I would say is embrace it. Embrace it and enjoy it. They're going to have an entire country here in their backyard, right, on home soil, cheering them on, behind them, supporting them, and that matters. that matters because I remember in 2010 and 14, we've talked about it before a bunch off camera. You know, it's having this awareness of what's happening back in the U.S., but with the competition here in the United States, the players are going to know everything. They're going to hear everything. They're going to hear about the different talks, good and bad, 24/7 around them as individuals, around them as a team. And, you know, from a manager perspective, Mauricio Pochettino will know that they've done everything they can to prepare for game one, for game two, for game three, and to go and perform. And to do that, you've got to enjoy the moment. You've got to embrace the moment, trust in your ability, trust in your teammates, and go out and do it. It's as plain and simple as that, is just go out and do it and play to the level that you know you can play at. And so that part is what excites me, that they have the opportunity to have a Clint Dempsey moment, to have a Landon Donovan moment. And if we're able to have one of these iconic moments, then guess what? The sky's the limit, man.
I'm ready to flip this table,
Let's
dog.
go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Why not us? USMNT, unbelievable impact. I think I'm just so excited to see Atlanta, too. See how, you see the MARTA cars, everybody's getting ready. 5 striped out. All the different watch parties right outside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Decatur, too, is going to have amazing stuff going on. It feels like the great footy awakening is going to happen. It feels like this is an eclipse of impact that I truly believe in my lifetime, soccer will be bigger than the NFL one day in my lifetime.
Hey.
Book it right here on the Guuuzan Show. You heard it.
From your lips to God's ears. Let's go.
Amen, bro.
Let's go.
And so what do you hope this World Cup comes to be in every sense for everybody listening?
Yeah, I hope it's exactly what you just said. I hope it launches us to another stratosphere of support, of success, of popularity. I want this sport to continue to climb the popularity ranks and notoriety amongst the American sports fan. And I think this summer has the potential and the ability to do it. And so it's going to be exciting. We know that it's going to be busy. It's going to be chaotic. So embrace the chaos, sit back and enjoy.
Take me into your playing mind right now. If I put you in the USMNT locker room right now and I said you get to give the final team talk before that first match, anything that comes to mind, give me something.
I think there's going to be a few cuss words, probably. Probably going to be hyped up on a few energy drinks, a couple coffees.
Your eyes just switched right now, dog. Where'd you go right there looking at the table?
No,
that was crazy.
And you listen, when you represent your country, man, you leave everything on the field. You leave everything on the field. And I know these guys are going to do that. I know they're going to feel the support of an entire country behind them. But yeah, man, just get ready to run through a wall.
USA, USA, USA. I'm ready.
Let's go.
Let's go.
And Joe, we got another special guest talking all things World Cup, someone that's going to be partaking in the tournament itself. None other than our
El 10, Miguel Almirón, speaking a whole lot more English than we're used to hearing him say as well. Guys, if you're listening on Spotify to the Guuuzan Show, we ask that you head on over to YouTube for this exclusive listen of Miguel Almirón pre-World Cup. Let's take a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Guuuzan Show.
No, start. 3, 2, 1. It's crazy.
And we've got none other than Mr. Paraguay himself, Miguel Almirón. Migs, thanks for joining us, man.
No.
How are you? How are you feeling knowing that the World Cup starts tomorrow?
No, para mí un placer más que nada estar acá con Brad, que me parece loco porque hace poco estuve jugando con él y ahora estoy dando una entrevista acá a su lado, así que un honor muy grande.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's really crazy to me because not too long ago I was a player next to you just like this, but no, for me it's an honor to be here.
No, definitely, man. It's, when you think about the World Cup and a young Miguel Almirón, 10 years old, 10 años, what are you thinking as a young footballer, wanting to be professional, wanting to go and live your dream, but now having the opportunity to represent Paraguay in the World Cup?
Sí, cuando uno es chico, lo primero que sueña es jugar un mundial. Más que nada, es lo que uno siente, lo que uno ve. Yo crecí viendo al grupo de la selección del 2010.
No, for me, when you're a little kid, it's what you dream about. It's what you feel. Growing up, I was just a little kid. It was always watching the national team from 2010.
Y nada, para mí siempre mi primer objetivo fue representar a mi país, llegar a este momento, y coste que lo sufrí muchísimo. Esperé 10 años que yo estoy luchando con clasificar a un mundial. La selección hace 16 años que no clasificaba, y nada, creo que es un momento muy lindo en mi carrera, no solamente para mí, sino también para el pueblo paraguayo.
It's been a long journey. I've suffered a lot as a kid. That was my first objective always, is to be able to make it to the World Cup. I've been fighting for this opportunity for 10 years. As a nation, it's been 16 years. So it's not just a beautiful thing for me, it's for all of the people of Paraguay to be able to enjoy this.
Love that, man. And listen, I know, as a dad, as a father now to your son, and there's going to be a whole nother generation that are looking at you and your teammates in Paraguay saying, I want to be the next Miguel Almirón. I want to be able to represent Paraguay at a World Cup. What is that responsibility like for you as an individual when you step back and kind of have an out-of-body experience?
Sí, creo que una responsabilidad muy grande. Como dice Brad, yo ahora tengo un hijo, y tengo que ser un ejemplo para mi hijo, pero más que nada él también sabe como jugador. Creo que nosotros tenemos que darle el ejemplo a los más chicos, dentro y fuera de la cancha, porque al final Brad es una leyenda acá en Atlanta, y los chicos de Atlanta le ven a él, y a pesar de que ojalá mi hijo no sea arquero, pero muchos niños quieren ser arqueros después de ver a una leyenda como Brad, de cómo se comporta dentro y fuera de la cancha, y creo que nosotros tenemos que dejar ese legado y ser responsables de lo que hacemos, porque como dice él, tenemos hijos, pero atrás de nuestros hijos hay muchos niños que también nos ven a nosotros.
It's a big honor. It's a big responsibility for all of us.
Good translation, please.
I got it. And it's not just about what we do on the pitch. It's off the pitch. I want to be a good example, not just for all the kids out there, but for my son as well. God willing, he doesn't become a goalkeeper like you one day.
Hey, by the way, he definitely wants to be a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I know.
He loves it. He loves it.
And that there's people that watch you as well. You're a legend within Atlanta, beyond Atlanta as well. So there's people constantly watching us, and it's something that we have to make sure that we're doing, and always looking on to the next generation to be that example.
No, for sure. It's, as a professional footballer, you have a responsibility as a role model, right? In all that you do. And Miguel touched on it, whether it's as a father or to be a role model to other kids. I think that's something you certainly understand. And, you talk about Atlanta, you talk about, obviously, when you first came here to then going to England, and you come back and now, playing back in Atlanta. How special is it, or does it feel a little bit surreal that the World Cup is in the United States? One of 3 countries, Canada and Mexico as well. But, the World Cup is being hosted here, where you play your domestic football, where you play professionally in Major League Soccer, to now have the World Cup here in the U.S. What does that mean, or what is that feeling like?
No, para mí es un sentimiento muy grande, que no solamente para mí, sino para todo Atlanta, para todo Estados Unidos, que una competición muy grande sea aquí. Eso también influyó a que yo, más que nada del sentimiento que yo tengo por Atlanta, y que cuando me fui siempre yo tuve en mi cabeza que quería volver. Yo ahora mismo creo que me tienen que echar para irme de Atlanta, pero nada, eso también influyó mucho para que yo acepte venir acá, porque la Copa del Mundo se iba a hacer acá, y nada, ojalá Paraguay tenga esa oportunidad de jugar en el Mercedes-Benz.
He said it's a great feeling, not just for me, for Atlanta, for the entire U.S. as well. I always had such a strong feeling as soon as I left, too, that I was missing Atlanta the entire time. So not just to be back here, on top of that feeling, the fact that it was going to be a host nation was also another motivation factor on top of that. They're going to have to kick me out of here for me to ever be able to leave this place for how much I love it. And I think, God willing, not just to be able to see Paraguay make it all the way to a World Cup, but to be able to play here in Atlanta as well for this city would be something super special.
To hopefully be able to play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium with Paraguay, the first game of the tournament, what is that moment going to be like for you? Obviously, we'll touch on the opposition here with the next question, but the moment that whistle blows in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles.
The first game in the World Cup.
The first game of the World Cup. What is that moment going to feel like for you and your family? I know you're going to have some family that are here in the United States. What is that moment going to be like for you?
No, yo creo que un sentimiento compartido porque a mí la gente de acá de Estados Unidos me trató súper bien. Siento que es como una familia. Va a ser un partido con sentimientos compartidos, pero el sentimiento que yo tengo hacia mi país, yo creo que en ese momento se va a olvidar que Brad es mi amigo. Si hago un gol, capaz que... no, mentira. Pero sí, es un sentimiento muy, muy compartido que voy a tener, no solamente yo, también mi familia, porque mi familia también vive acá, la gente de Atlanta, de Estados Unidos en sí, le trata muy bien a mi familia y creo que va a ser algo muy lindo.
It's going to be a shared feeling, not just for me, but for my family, for everybody here in Atlanta who's treated us like family. They've treated my family so incredibly well. It's going to be a very special game. If I score a goal, I might do a little something towards Brad, even though he was my teammate. Nah, just kidding. I'm lying about that. But no, the people here of Atlanta, in the U.S. as well, they've showed my family so much very special love too. So that's been amazing.
No, I love that. And obviously... the first game is against the one of the host countries, the U.S. Now, obviously, Paraguay and U.S. played each other recently in Philadelphia. Some heated tension, you know. No one.
You know.
Of course, it's normal. Yes,
it's normal.
It was a good game, you know, and you know some extracurricular activities and whatnot. But anytime you play a host country, it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look back in Qatar, you look back at previous World Cups. Playing a host country is certainly difficult, but the idea for Paraguay is to what? Obviously, you want to be playing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and to do that, you've got to progress throughout the tournament. Yeah. But that game one against the U.S., how and what are you guys expecting?
No, creo que por ser nuestro primer partido después de 16 años como selección, creo que va a ser un partido, como siempre yo digo, con el cuchillo entre los dientes. Creo que hace 10 años me estoy preparando para ese momento, no solamente yo, también todos mis compañeros, y creo que obviamente los jugadores de Estados Unidos también se preparan de esa manera. Creo que nosotros vamos a tomar como una final, como lo vamos a tomar todos los partidos y vamos a tratar de salir a ganar ese partido.
No, I think for us, and for me especially, it's going to be a feeling of having the knife between our teeth. When we go out there, it's been 10 years of me personally fighting for it, 16 for us as a nation too as well. So we're going to go out there, of course, to leave everything for every single match and treat it as if it's a final, being in that first match.
Obviamente, uno también quiere disfrutar de ese momento por todo lo que conlleva un mundial. Pero como digo, la selección de Estados Unidos también tiene grandes jugadores, tiene un gran equipo y creo que va a ser un partido muy, muy lindo.
I think it's going to be a beautiful game. Obviously, playing in a World Cup, you want to be able to go out there to enjoy as well. So I think overall, against a team, especially like United States, it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's going to be a fantastic summer. I think it's going to be a fantastic tournament. I told you 10 minutes. The second part of that took you to 10 and a half minutes. So, you know, Migs, listen, obviously I want the best for you individually, but not too great, especially in game one. For those 90 minutes, you know, I may be cheering for the U.S., but afterwards, obviously, I want you to have the best summer, the best experience in a fantastic World Cup, and I wish you all the best, man. I can't thank you enough for jumping on. And just, all the listeners, his English is perfect.
Hey, más vale que me desee el bien porque después yo vuelvo a Atlanta.
Hey,
Sí, sí.
it's better that you treat him well because he's coming back to Atlanta after this.
Hey, let's go. Hey, I love it.
Thank you, bro.
Well, Joe, we are now prepped. We are now ready for the start of this World Cup. But before we go, we've obviously got the Home Depot mailbag.
Yes, sir.
It's an exciting time, man. I've always said I'm first and foremost, I'm a number one fan of the game and
Show it off.
Show
it off.
I mean, listen,
Bro, it's kitted out.
let's go.
If you had gloves on right now, I'd say he could still go.
100%.
And he still can.
I would need
He knows
some
he can.
boots, some shin guards, But yeah, man, we're pumped. We're excited. It's going to be an awesome summer ahead. So looking forward to it.
Look at this. We got a question from Cheryl over there in Decatur. Speaking of kits, she says, Brad, from all your playing years, what have you done with all of your different gloves, kits, cleats, anything special that you've decided to do with all of your playing attire?
Yeah. Cheryl, great question. I mean, it's, when you play with the national team, there's, I think, a fine balance of wanting to, the traditional thing to do with soccer matches and at the end of the games, swap shirts and whatnot. I think there's a mutual respect there between players. And then when it comes to keeping certain items, you obviously, whether you're a part of a World Cup roster, whether you're a part of a Gold Cup, your debut jersey, things like that, that carry a little bit more meaning, you tend to hold on to. And so I've got a room in the basement. All this stuff is there, and my wife's constantly, she is extremely supportive, as you know, but she's like, "What are we doing with this? What we've got so much stuff." And every time she's like, "Well, let's get rid of this," or "Do we really need that?" And I'm just like, I always have an answer as to why we have to keep it, and she just kind of rolls her eyes at me and is like, all right, I guess we'll hold on to it.
Man. I've always wondered too. Are you the kind of guy? Do you wash stuff or do you leave it as it? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that add more value by like having the in the game state still?
I try to give the jersey a little bit of a wash. Now, obviously, I've got a few pieces that I think went straight into a frame, and I apologize to the individuals that had to frame that, but yeah, man,
Bro's putting it on. He's like,
that smell is horrendous. Especially because you wear a shirt after a game, and say you swap shirts with somebody. I'm playing in England, for example. We're playing in Central America. You put it in a little like an ice bag, right? Because nobody carries bags right after a game. So you go to the kit room, the medical room. Yeah. You get like a plastic bag that you would put ice in for an injury.
Oh yeah.
But you put the jersey in there, knowing that you've just come off the field and it's 100 degrees outside, super humid, sweating like crazy, and it stinks. So you're like, all right, well, this is gonna go in my suitcase. So you then put it in there. So then for the next 12 to 15 hours, it's in this bag.
Marinating.
Yes. And then you take it out, and you're like, oh. And you got to let it dry because it's still sopping wet. But you got to let it dry. The stench coming off of it is horrendous.
You rip that puppy open for the first time, it's like,
you're like, just needs to go straight into the wash.
Nah. But that's what makes it too. If it's got some like grass stains on the side and stuff too, that's what gives it the aura.
It does.
That's
but I'm telling
bro.
you,
the essence of football.
You open that bag and you're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm gonna pass on the grass stains. I'm gonna pass on the aura of it. It's going straight into the wash.
Well, speaking of kits, you're not the only one who's fully kitted out today. Let's cut now to our team in the control room and see what they got.
Hey, let's go.
Show it off. Show off the bat. Yes,
let's
sir.
Go.
My first question, Mookie.
Maddie, I love it.
How far did you have to go to find that?
I went down an eBay rabbit hole, and this is great. I was going to ask you, Brad. It's got to be tough as a keeper to, everyone's got all the USA kits. The new ones. They've got their favorite player on the back, but no one goes and gets the keeper kits. So I went down an eBay and I Googled, U.S. World Cup Guuuzan jersey, and this was sitting for me to get. And actually
giving them out for free.
Pretty good amount of money. It wasn't on sale or anything.
Jeez.
But
dedication.
I like this. So that we've got the fever in here. We wish you guys both really good luck in your World Cup endeavors. We're excited to watch you both. but this was our way to send you out, Guuz. Number one in our hearts, baby.
Oh, what a send off!
I love it.
Why not
I love
us,
it.
baby? Why not us?
Exactly.
Do you have
Farm meal, dog.
do you remember this kit?
I do. I mean, and that's the thing too. The kits change. I would say every 2 years, maybe. And as they change, you take notice of, obviously, I think color, kind of design, but it's not something that is, leaving a lasting impression. But the logo. That logo is the newer version of the U.S. logo from when I first started, and so I want to say that is probably from 15 or 16, maybe 17. But yeah, it's in those moments, you see those kits, and you don't collect them just to collect them, of course, but at the same time, then people just assume that you have an unlimited amount of jerseys stashed away somewhere when they're like, oh yeah, can I get a shirt? Can I get a jersey? Can I get this? Can I get that? And I'm like, I don't just have a warehouse of jerseys.
You don't get to keep them.
Yeah.
Hey.
You get like one a game, and it's sometimes you swap that out. And, if a player comes up to you and they're like, oh, hey, want to swap shirts? And I'm like, oh, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I don't really want your shirt, but sure, you don't, there's a respect level there. I'm sure we've all seen the different social media clips of someone saying, "Oh yeah, like here you go, here's my shirt, but no, I'm good. I don't want yours." Yeah, and it's like, ooh, that's a slap to the face. You don't want that, so you just say, yeah, sure, I'll take it and bring it home and put it in the wash, and probably never to look at again. But it's all part of the process. But yeah, Maddie, I appreciate the support, man.
Yeah, I feel like when you look at this kit, like if I was just looking at my arm, I feel like it feels like something you would buy at like a men's store with a polo collared shirt. But then you look down here and it's like the full kit and you have the and everything. So yeah, man, this is cool. And we're going to try to find some more Guuuzan paraphernalia, some memorabilia out there. I enjoyed my hunt for this, and I'm not done.
I love it.
Big thank you to Cheryl, and big thank you to the Home Depot, always delivered on